it's a series of like ingredients for success. So it's 100% owned. It's on privately owned, patented ground, shallow, flat-lying mineralization, excellent or to date positive metallurgy. Okay, 1 million ounces at a cutoff of 0.5.
Well, hello, welcome to Assay TV. Today, I'm delighted to be joined by Paul Matysek, who is the Executive Chairman of Freeman Gold. Freeman Gold are exploring in Idaho at their Lemhi project. And Paul, great to see you today. I spoke with the CEO of Freeman Gold, Will Randall, a little over a year ago, I believe, when you were just sort of embarking on quite an extensive drill program to drill up some historic drilling at the Lemhi project there in Idaho. Fast forward 1 year, and you've got yourself an NI 43101 compliant gold resource there. Do you want to tell us a little bit about the history of the project and the process that you've gone through to get to this stage?
Absolutely, and thanks for inviting me onto your show. I'm speaking from Whistler, Canada today, and enjoying a snow-felt day, and seems like a great thing to do. So the Lemhi project in Freeman, well, it's in Northeast Idaho in Lemhi County, so that's why it's the Lemhi project. The company's called Freeman because one of the peaks you see in the nearby area is called Freeman Peak, and it's a towering 10,000 foot peak that you can walk up to. And the Freeman Gold project, the Lemhi Gold project, historically started in a placer mine area in the late 1890s and 1910s. And nothing really much happened until the 1980s when FMC actually discovered the deposit. And between FMC and a company called AGR, which became Meridian, they drilled a number of holes in the 80s and 90s. And then AGR, Meridian, was mining the Bear Track gold mine, and we're preparing to mine the Lemhi, the oxide portion, once the Bear Track had been mined out, when kind of Bre-X happened, okay? And so they kind of lost interest. There was a collapse in the gold market. And an Idaho businessman picked it up and bought it. And then he convinced Northern Vertex to buy 51% of it. And they drilled in 2012 a series of holes that were quite prospective. But Northern Vertex were more interested in developing their Moss mine, and so they sold it back to the businessman. And then nothing really happened. So we had this deposit that had some high-grade intersections in Idaho, which is a jurisdiction that is, very attractive on the Fraser Institute. It's a survey done every year on the mining attractiveness. It's like number 3 in the world and number 1 for policy attractiveness. And so in 2019, Freeman, otherwise known before as called Lodge Resources, they made a purchase of this deposit, real estate asset deal. And from that point on, the reason why it's so important is that because it's a real estate deal, it was buying a lot of patented ground, okay, which is privately owned. And so most of all the drilling was done on private ground, okay? So, and that has a lot of good implications for getting permits rapidly and quickly. So in 2020, as you just alluded to prior, Freeman embarked on a comprehensive exploration program, which consisted of soil sampling, ground geophysics, IP magnetics. They did a lot of staking around their area, and they did 7,000 meters of drilling, mostly infill drilling, to try to see if they can build a resource from all the historic drilling that was done to date, okay? And so as a result of that drilling, they found close to 1 million ounces of I&I, 750,000 ounces of 1.0 grams per ton gold, if indicated, and about 250,000 ounces of 1.01 grams per ton gold as inferred, okay? And what was most interesting, and they made the release of that information in July of this year. Okay. And some of the holes they hit were like 189 meters of 1.1 gram, which contained 92 meters of 1.4 and 4.3 meters of 15 grams. So almost half an ounce. Another hole they had 48 meters of 1.4 grams and 4.6 meters of 4 grams per ton. So a lot of high grade intervals. Okay. But what's most important, that these were oxide and they were all shallow. They almost started all from surface. So, you know, when we did some metallurgical results in this year too, they found that through called bottle roll analysis, that they were getting close to 95% recoveries. So here you have a shallow deposit in a good jurisdiction, okay, with a 1 million ounce deposit. Okay. So, you know, that's where we were today. And, you know, what we need to do is 1 million ounces is just on the cusp of, you know, of people being interested in, you know, in maybe developing it or purchasing it. And so what we embark on doing now is trying to look at depth, because we never drilled any deep holes, look along strike east and west of the zones. And as part of that large exploration program we conducted in 2020, we found 11 high priority targets, one of them being the beauty zone. Okay, and we'll go into that in a little bit more detail, but that's one that we'd like to, is a high priority target. And it's just about 600 meters to the west of the Lemhi deposit. So it's close enough that we could truck ore to, or to access, or any kind of infrastructure. So that kind of gives you a summary of where we are. And in my business, time is money. And so how we can, you know, fast track all of that is by financing, or doing, instead of getting 1 drill, get 2 drills or get 3 drills. And so hence we just announced about a week ago a $10 million financing. And because of the demand is almost 4-fold worth of demand, we've increased it to 13 million US. So exciting times for Freeman. And, you know, I'm very looking forward to the drill program.
Absolutely. And in September, I mean, you moved from being on the sort of strategic advisory board to taking a more hands-on role as executive chairman. You know, apart from what you've said already, I mean, what is it about Freeman Gold that made you make that sort of more hands-on leap?
Well, so it's a series of like ingredients for success. So it's 100% owned. It's on privately owned, patented ground, shallow, flat-lying mineralization, excellent, or to date positive metallurgy. Okay, 1 million ounces at a cutoff of 0.5. Okay, so those are all, and then not tested. Okay, so in a great jurisdiction. So, you know, I went from a strategic advisor seeing, and after I did it after all that data was available, and I said, now is the time to invest in the company and to take the next step.
Absolutely. And this isn't your first rodeo, so to speak. I mean, you and your team have an impressive track record with, I think was it 6 companies you've been in and then exited to the tune of something like $2.5 billion, I think, in sale value over the years. And Freeman Gold, how does that sort of sit, you know, compared with some of your previous enterprises? And, you know, what is your typical approach to sort of, you know, acquiring, developing, and then selling projects?
So you want to know the secret sauce? Is that that's what it comes down to? And so yeah, I did. I sold 6 companies, and one was a uranium company, one was a potash company, 2 lithium companies, and 2 gold companies. And so kind of like the secret of that success is probably understanding the cycle of the commodity price. Okay, so for instance, energy metals that was a uranium player in 2004 to 2007. Uranium was $10 when I started, and I sold it at $110. Okay, of course, the next year it went down back to $35 to $25. Okay, so timing, speed. Okay, potash. When I started the legacy project in Potash 1, potash was about $100. It went up to $1,100. I sold the company at $900 for all cash to K plus S, and now potash is trading around $250. So again, and that was done in 3 years. In gold, okay, both of those. I can give you lithium. Lithium, I sold lithium 1 to Galaxy, which is bought by Orocobre, okay, and Albert Romerto, and they were trading around $3,000 when I started. I was sort of one of the early people that saw lithium as the future energy source, and it went up to, in my time, it went up to like $11,000, and now it's reaching $20,000. Eh? But I subsequently sold another lithium company that caught part of that train. So cycle of the commodity. Okay. Also selecting an asset that you think has legs to it. Okay. And as I previously said, jurisdiction, all the things that you need for. And I mostly sell things, okay? And I can tell you why I sell things, but it's a different answer, is that, of the 6 deposits, I'm usually in fact, all my companies are being single asset companies. 3 of them are in production today. Well, Palangana, the uranium one, Legacy Mine, I think it's the largest mine ever built in Canada. It was $5 billion, okay? Done by K plus S. Okay, and Lindero, Argentine heap leach gold deposit. Okay, so those in production, and 3 of them are going to go into production. So Toroparu, which is the project I just sold to Grand Colombian Mines, they're planning to put that in production, and they're working on a feasibility study right now. Salar de Los Angeles, which sold to a Chinese group. It was about 3 years ago. They've actually have a salar. They're already in pre-production. And Albert Romerto, which was sold, half of it was sold to POSCO, and they are now in pre-production. So having the right, and I think Lemhi has the right size, or could have the right size, to actually be a good fit for a mid-tier, okay, or amalgamation with a number of other companies that might be interested in adding to their portfolio. And so sometimes people ask me, why do you sell companies? Why don't you just put them in production? And the reason why is that junior mining companies face the awful prospect of trying to raise money at horrendous prices, interest rates. So whereas First Quantum Minerals, a company I work for, can raise money at 1 or 2%, if I try to do it in Lemhi or any of the company side, I'd be paying 17, 18%. Okay. And it just doesn't, that 18, 19%, I'd rather take a share value in selling it than trying to build it. And as you know, there's 2 or 3 years where, while you build this asset, where nothing much happens. And so you have people that get pummeled in that process. So that's the reason why I tend to sell, and it seems to make more sense to me, and I try to give that value back to the shareholders. And then the team, I try to hire the best people, experts in all the fields. So when I did the potash, I hired the 2 best potash process engineers in the world. When I did uranium, I hired ex-uranium guys when no one was even interested in uranium, and work with people that have been successful. So I work with Will Randall, who's I've worked with him with Lithium X and Arena, excellent geologist, go-getter, okay, and helps execute his programs. Bassam Mubarak, I've been involved with him. He's my CFO. He's been involved with Gold Rock, Lithium X, my Gold X. He's an excellent negotiator and executor in terms of finance and regulatory. So those are the keys. And then timing, okay? I like to work in a window of 2 to 3 years to make a plan. And so that, frankly, I get bored if I spend more than 3 years working on one thing and having to imagine to say the same PowerPoint or presentation after 3 years. It just about kills me. So I am And the other thing, I'm committed. I tend to, in all my deals, I buy stock and I don't sell them until I've either sold the company. So you can check all my insider trades and see that. So that's why I think Lemhi has that opportunity to provide, a 2 million ounce type of deposit, which I think people are looking for in the United States. And because it's patented, you can fast track. You can actually develop a lot of things on private ground that you can't do more on forestry lands or public lands.
Absolutely. So the next steps for the company. I mean, you've taken a year to get to this sort of million ounce resource. You mentioned earlier you're doing the expansion drilling. What should people be looking out for in the next few sort of months?
So phase 2 drilling is going to start probably tomorrow. We have a drill on site. It's about a 4,000 meter program right now. That was before we announced the financing. And we've got 3 or 4 holes in the beauty zone, probably 400 to 500 meters there. We're going to make some deeper holes to see if we have any continuity at depth. We've been to 200 meters and we're still in oxide zone. So there's a lot of potential below that. We've had some holes end in mineralization. So we're going to test that. And that's probably 400 to 800 meters. 3,200 meters will go and just doing step outs on the east and west extensions and seeing where those go. So like, for instance, the beauty zone, they did prospecting, they did soil and rock sampling last summer. And, so they found a large soil anomaly, but within that soil anomaly, they took 52 rock samples over the area. And this beauty zone is, let's say, 600 meters to the east. 52 out of 105 rock samples that we collected were over a gram. And 28 of them were over 10 grams. One of them was 15 ounces per ton. So we think that's a high priority target that we're going to use. And we've, as I said, we've just announced financing a week ago. We've upsized it to 13 million. We've got great shareholders on the registry, and we're going to use that money to fast track, to go with my 3-year rule, so that we can get results. Everybody wants to move quick.
Absolutely. Well, you excited to get the drill bits turning in in those new zones, and look forward to getting some drill results coming out over the next few months.
The only issues that we have today, my friend, is analytical labs. It is horrendously slow.
What is the time? What is the sort of time?
Oh, it's probably 3 months. 3 months from when we submit a sample, we crush it up and send it. It's probably the rate determining step now. It's not financing, it's not drilling, it's getting a number to deal with.
Just getting results back from the assay labs. Well, I guess people have to be patient these days, don't they? How are investors, reacting? Are they being patient?
Yeah, no, we've been on an upswing since September, since I've made the announcement that I've come on board. I think that re-energized the team. I think the story's not been well told and not been advertised. As I said, for many years, it was stuck in a private company. And it's, you can drive to it. It's in Idaho, it's got so many good aspects of it that, I think people need to know. And so I think that's one of my jobs, and Will's jobs, and Bassam's job.
Absolutely. Well, exciting times ahead for the company, and, great, I guess, for the company to have you on board and in your new sort of hands-on role as executive chairman, driving things forward. But thank you very much for joining us today, giving us that update on Freeman Gold.
It's a pleasure. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Paul.